The Silverstone circuit welcomes the world for round 11 of the championship. Formula One was born here in Northamptonshire. Now, 51 years later, Britain has its own top driver on a hat-trick of home victories. Hello there, welcome to our review of the British Grand Prix. The two title protagonists are both going for 3 in a row. David Coulthard won here in '99 and last year. And as for Michael Schumacher, he has scored 10 out of 10 in the last couple of races. Coulthard can feel that championship slipping away from him. His fight back starts in qualifying. After heavy rain throughout morning practice, the teams wait as long as they can for the track to dry out. When the cars do surface, it's the Scot who takes first blood. Coulthard's teammate Mika Hakkinen loves this track's fast corners. He's right in the thick of the action. But it's Michael Schumacher who's got the speed when it matters. Pole number 8 this season comes easily. Incredibly, it's his first ever at Silverstone. So Schumacher claiming yet another top slot this year, the old foe Hakkinen alongside. Coulthard follows, Trulli putting in another good performance to start 4th. His Jordan teammate Frentzen comes next, Barrichello a lacklustre 6th. Raikkonen continuing to impress in 7th. Then the first of the Williams down in 8th, it's Montoya behind the wheel. Heidfeld 9th, Ralf Schumacher a disappointing 10th. The BARs occupying row 6, Panis and Villeneuve. Eddie Irvine 15th and Jenson Button 18th for their home race. It's the British Grand Prix then with your commentators Martin Brundle and Murray Walker.
Now, is Michael Schumacher going to make a good start and cut across the front of Mika Hakkinen? He's famous for that. 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 laps. Pause. Go, go, go. And Schumacher gets away well. Trulli is up alongside and sprinting into the first corner. It's Schumacher leading and Jarno Trulli is still 4th. Then off goes the BAR.
And Trulli hit Coulthard into the first corner. Did he go off? I can see a Jordan in the gravel track. And that was a McLaren coming out of the pit lane. It must have been Coulthard. So look, Michael Schumacher then from Mika Hakkinen. And where did Coulthard go? Did he fully connect with the Jordan? I think he did.
Well, it's a Williams up in 3rd place, and out goes Jarno Trulli from the look of it. And you can see they're jostling for position at Stowe Corner, but it's a Williams up into 3rd position, and it looks like Juan Pablo Montoya it is, ahead of Barrichello in the Ferrari, who is 4th, and Ralf Schumacher is 5th, and out goes the BAR.
Panis is out then, so Trulli and Panis out, and I think Coulthard had a spin. I saw them just touch before they went out of camera shot, and Coulthard and Trulli getting together in turn 1. What a shame for this race. What a shame for Coulthard's World Championship chances.
Indeed it is, but Mika's on the boil. Look at him right behind Michael Schumacher, and Montoya in that very powerful Williams BMW in 3rd position. He's doing much better than he could have expected to. He's gained 5 places already, and we're still on the first lap. Coming towards the end of it, Schumacher leads, Hakkinen 2nd, Montoya going very wide in 3rd place, Barrichello, Ralf Schumacher, and Raikkonen is 6th.
And Coulthard, we believe, is coming in the pits this time around, so the contact must have been pretty heavy. Maybe he's got some suspension damage, and he goes past me now. Coulthard not pitting, but he is last but 1. Coulthard goes over the line in 18th because we've lost cars already in this Grand Prix. So David Coulthard then still on track, clearly 4 wheels all pointing in the right direction.
David Coulthard has got to pray now that something happens to take Michael Schumacher out of the race if his World Championship chances have not been destroyed already. Mika Hakkinen sitting in the wheel tracks of the Scarlet Ferrari. Now, what is the gap between Montoya and Hakkinen? The answer is 2.1 seconds at the end of the first lap. Be interesting to see whether he's closing up. Remember that the Ferrari and the McLaren are both on Bridgestone tyres. Montoya is on Michelin's. Mika Hakkinen having a look, and the first 3 are breaking away from Rubens Barrichello, who is 4th.
We've got a 2-horse race, I think, here, because Montoya, I do not believe, has got the car or the tyres underneath him. So these two are going to scamper off into the distance. We'll watch Coulthard with interest. We're hearing from the F1 ITV pit crew. Coulthard decided to stay out. The team are ready for him if he chooses to come in. They wonder if he's got some damage. We didn't see exactly how he went off, where he went off, but he emerged out of the pit lane, so I imagine he had a big spin towards the inside of Copse.
Yeah, and you know, the most interesting thing I've heard this afternoon, Martin, was when John Todt was talking to you on the grid, and he implied that Michael Schumacher did not necessarily have to win, that he might therefore be satisfied with something less than first place, provided it got him points, and provided it got him more points than David Coulthard. It's certainly doing that at the present moment. David Coulthard in 18th position in replay.
And here we go, we've missed the action up the front. That is Panis getting together what looked like with Villeneuve. I just caught the beginning of that. But, and Coulthard is indeed coming out of the pit lane, look, so he must have spun to the inside. Let's see if we can see it this time around again. That's Panis's little trip across the gravel. He will eventually get beached in the same gravel trap already as Trulli. Now let's have a look. Coulthard going around the outside of the Jordan understeering. Coulthard nipping him slightly, and yes, Coulthard spins, look, a long, graceful but critical spin to the inside of the racetrack, out of harm's way. Has it damaged Coulthard's rear suspension? It's clearly damaged Trulli's front suspension.
Yeah, while he spun past him went Barrichello, Schumacher, Raikkonen, Heidfeld, Frentzen, Lacey, Villeneuve, Verstappen, De La Rosa, Button, Bernoldi, Irvine and Bertie, and David Coulthard is in 18th position, fighting his way through the field as Mika Häkkinen fights Michael Schumacher, who will, I am sure, know that David Coulthard, his chief World Championship rival, is out of the race. The Ferrari radio signals will have told him, and there's somebody else off.
Coulthard,
let's look. It's David Coulthard. David Coulthard's race is over. David Coulthard retires from the British Grand Prix on lap 4, and sadly I have to say it looks as though his World Championship chances have gone with it. Not impossible, but even more difficult.
And here we're watching Coulthard now. Oh yes, he's out of shape long before the corner, look. So what would happen is one of the links on the rear suspension would break, and it starts turning the car from the rear, almost as if your steering wheel's connected to the rear wheels instead of the front. And Coulthard then couldn't make it back to the pits.
And McLaren have yet to have both drivers finish in a race this year, with Michael Schumacher now on lap 4 out of 60 in this British Grand Prix at Silverstone. Mika Häkkinen dogging his wheel tracks, but what a gap there is between them. It's 3.2 seconds now between Mika Häkkinen, who is in second place, and Juan Pablo Montoya, as Häkkinen goes for it. Häkkinen takes the lead on lap 5. Brilliant bit of driving.
I think Michael made a mistake. Michael got wide out of Copse, and I don't think he really wanted to fight too hard either. Remember what Jean Todt said to us on the start line, and Häkkinen positively moving away at a vast rate of knots.
In the back of my mind all the time, I'm saying to myself, has he got a problem? What matters as we watch this replay of Mika Häkkinen diving past the Ferrari, Michael Schumacher does not fight at all to stop it going through. The important thing now is to watch Montoya, who was 3.8 seconds behind on the previous lap, and see whether he starts catching Schumacher, in which case we will know that he has got a problem.
Jarno Trulli then, his race lasted just one corner. He is back in the pits already, and last time around Häkkinen's lead was already up to 3.6 seconds, and on this particular lap he's another 1.5 seconds already faster than second place man Michael Schumacher. You're watching Fisichella, who's running 18th and last at the moment, and that is why he's running 18th and last. He's just recovering from the gravel trap. That's a replay from Copse.
As we look down at the sole McLaren of Mika Häkkinen, remember, Mika has had appalling luck this year in Spain. He was coming home in the last lap to win the race when his clutch exploded, and out he went.
I think Michael's got a problem, Murray. He's now lapping 2 and a bit seconds a lap slower than Mika Häkkinen. I don't think he'd be wanting to let himself anywhere near Montoya. He knows full well Montoya will have a stab at him at the first opportunity with a big overtaking move. So Michael then way off the pace of this morning's warm-up, some 3 seconds per lap. However much fuel he's got on board, he should not be going that slowly.
No, and he's less than 2 seconds behind Montoya. Louise Goodman.
I'm standing here with a very disappointed David Coulthard. David, rear suspension it looked like to us, was that right?
Yeah, no, I obviously got damaged with the contact with Jarno at the first corner, and I was on the radio explaining that I had a big problem, and the team said, let's look at the data, and so, but I knew it was only a matter of time really, and then obviously let go coming through bridge and caught me out going into the Priory corner.
Tell us about that first corner incident. What exactly happened?
Well, I'm sure it's a classic case of two drivers, two different opinions, but Jarno made a better start. He was on my inside, but the nature of Copse is a very open corner, and I felt that given that I was ahead, I could still maintain my position on the exit and be in the right line for Beckett's. And when I tried to turn for the corner, he's maintained the position and hit my rear corner as I've turned in. So I'm sure he'll see it a different way. He'll say that I probably turned in on him, but he's not in the championship battle. You know, I know he's got to work hard for his position, but you've got to give up at some point because 2 into 1 doesn't go. I had the lead, so I believe he should have been the one who backed off.
Yeah, it's not Dave McLaren all that good, actually, with Coulthard out of the race, because at the present moment, Ferrari are on 9 Constructors' World Championship points, with Schumacher in 2nd place and Barrichello in 4th place. Mika Häkkinen for McLaren is on 10, of course, which means to say that McLaren have carved the gap from 52 points between themselves and Ferrari to 51 if things stay as they are. It's looking very, very good for Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship and, of course, for the Drivers' Championship. On lap 16, we're into the second quarter of the British Grand Prix now. 60-lap race, Häkkinen, Schumacher, Montoya. And the gap between Häkkinen and Montoya is 22 seconds. And the gap between Schumacher and Montoya is virtually nothing.
So this is the main fight of the race you're watching right now. Ralf Schumacher 5th, Kimi Räikkönen 6th, Nick Heidfeld in the sister Sauber 7th, and Frentzen then in 8th. He must have had a bad start too in there somewhere, so that's the main scrap, other than, of course, Michael Schumacher just about keeping Montoya at bay. Jenson Button is down in 13th place, running along, having a scrap with Della Rosa in the Jaguar.
How are the teams doing? Ferrari very well, thank you, because they are 2nd and 4th. How are McLaren doing? Well, leading is fine. Having the other car out is not good. How are Williams doing? All right, they're in 3rd and 5th positions. And then how are Sauber doing? 6th and 7th, excellent, thank you. Jordan have only got Frentzen in the race, he is 8th. Arrows have got Verstappen in 9th place and Bernoldi down in 14th position. And BAR, just to go through the top 10, Jacques Villeneuve is in 10th position and his teammate Olivier Panis is out as Montoya pushes Michael Schumacher on lap 18.
Now, will Schumacher let Montoya go so easily? Yes, I think he has, and he will. So Michael Schumacher then just letting them cruise past him this afternoon. I don't think he'd want to take any risk with this man Montoya. Montoya's shown quite clearly that he will have a go at the first opportunity. Ross Brawn looking super cool, but I don't believe they'd yield those points for the sake of it, Murray.
Yeah, we're standing right behind the main grandstand and they've just risen to a man and cheered Montoya past. Well done, they're saying, and rightly so. I don't think that they think that Michael Schumacher is taking it as comparatively easily as we here in the commentary box think he is. But maybe he's got a problem. Now let's start watching Rubens Barrichello, who is in 4th position, and see how his lap times compare with those of Michael Schumacher. Michael Schumacher's last lap was 1:26.12. Rubens Barrichello's 1:26.3. 1/10 of a second in it between the two Ferraris, with Michael Schumacher marginally fastest, now down in 3rd position. And Montoya is now really starting to go for it. His previous lap, 1:25.8, but that was 1.5 seconds slower than Häkkinen.
I didn't mention Eddie Irvine when I went through the Brits earlier on because I couldn't see him where I expected him to be. He's down in 15th place is Eddie Irvine. So Mika Häkkinen then 25 seconds ahead of Montoya. Michael Schumacher now already 2.2 down. Barrichello a further 11 seconds down the road. Ralf Schumacher still in close company with Barrichello. Räikkönen rounds off the top 6.
Lap lap 21, 1/3 distance at Silverstone, and Mika Häkkinen there is siding his way through the field. He's past Fisichella, he's past Alonso, he's now tight up behind Eddie Irvine as we look at this replay of Montoya passing Schumacher.
Yes, this is for second place, and Michael Schumacher, no doubt about it, just getting out of the throttle gently down the pit straight. Montoya still looking like he wants to give him a cuddle as he goes past him, like edging up closer and closer to him, and easily, of course, then takes the line into Copse. And here's another angle of it, and without doubt Michael lifting out of the throttle, saying, I'm happy, third place will do me for whatever reason, the points will do me, or I've got a problem. And the first stop of the afternoon then, and Kimi Räikkönen in from 7th position, 6th I think it was, because he's been passed as he's going down the pit lane to lose that 6th place, and a reasonable, quite early stop. I'm expecting them nearer 22-24, and Häkkinen's car, their team, getting ready then. James, can you see them?
Yeah, as we expected, Martin, they've got the tyre covers off, and this is what we thought. Häkkinen has got reasonably light fuel. Now, he needed about 28 seconds to be able to pit and rejoin in front of Michael Schumacher. He had only just under 26, so I don't know whether he's going to do it, but I think Michael is playing quite a cagey game here this afternoon. And bear in mind, Martin, that Ferrari had more data about these new Bridgestone tyres, a good stop there by Häkkinen, than the McLaren team have.
Yes, I agree with you, James. I think they probably brought Mika in slightly early because he was in the thick of the traffic, as you saw, and was beginning to lose some of that lead. And there is Montoya then. So Montoya takes the lead of the British Grand Prix.
And it's not the first Grand Prix he has led. Remember that incredible passing manoeuvre he made on Michael Schumacher in Brazil at the Senna S. Now, this man has got real talent. This is the man who won the Formula 3000 Championship, who went to America as a contracted Williams driver to drive for Chip Ganassi, and he not only won the American Champ Car Championship, but he won the Indy 500. Came back to Europe to drive for Williams and displaced Bruno Junqueira in the process, and now he is leading again. Slightly full situation because, as you know, Mika Häkkinen is right behind him, having gone into the pits and come out again. There's very little in it on the track. There's a lot more than it looks in terms of time, because what's a time full stop take? 20 seconds here?
It's longer than that, Murray, and it was a reasonably good and short stop for Häkkinen. Montoya, we know the two Williams cars are on the harder of the Michelin tyres. Have they elected to go for a one-stopper this afternoon because they really didn't have the pace to go and win this race, as they have in the most recent Grand Prix through this summer? They've not really had a tip-top pace through the weekend. Can they try and do it on strategy? I still don't think Montoya will be going that much further before he too makes a pit stop. I'm sure Häkkinen was a strategic stop, an earlier stop, to get him clear of that traffic he was having to lap.
Jenson Button comes into the pits for his stop from 16th and last but one. His teammate Fisichella is last, so that'll be a crumb of comfort for Jenson Button. Not much of a one, but at least I think he's ahead of his teammate, and he always has to be the first target. 7 laps ago, Mika Häkkinen broke the lap record here at Silverstone with a searing 1:23.799, and that is some half a second faster than Michael Schumacher's previous lap record. It's a speed of about 138 miles an hour, averaging around this 3.2-mile circuit. Into the pits comes Montoya.
So as we expected then, Montoya not with a heavy fuel load. He pulls into the pits from the lead of the British Grand Prix. It all seems to be going well, seems to be calm, a lot of thumbs up in the air. My wheel is on, firm and secure. I'm happy if you send him as soon as the fuel is in, and off down the pit lane goes Montoya at 120 kilometres per hour, and it's a long pit lane here at Silverstone.
Yeah, but take it easy, 120 k's, 70 miles an hour. Release the button at the right time, Juan Pablo. When you're back on the track, out of the pit lane, he has done so. Mika Häkkinen, Mika on the side pod, Mika on the rear wing, and he is now back in the lead on lap 26 at Silverstone. And Montoya is back on track in second position ahead of Michael Schumacher, who is much closer, of course, to the Williams than he was before. And there is Barrichello, followed in 4th position by Ralf Schumacher, and Jacques Villeneuve is now up into 6th place, but he's 30 seconds behind Ralf Schumacher's Williams BMW. Top 6 and gaps. Hakkinen leads Montoya by about 5 seconds or so. Michael Schumacher another couple of seconds further down the road. Mika Hakkinen has just broken the lap record again as I talk to you. Rubens Barrichello is 14 seconds behind his teammate. Ralf Schumacher is right with Rubens Barrichello, and Jacques Villeneuve in 6th position is 30 seconds behind Ralf Schumacher. We're now on lap 30 out of 60 at Silverstone. Half distance as you watch Rubens Barrichello pursued by Ralf Schumacher in 4th position, and Montoya, his teammate, who is 5th after his pit stop.
Yeah, bad news for Montoya here, really. He didn't need this at all. He's clearly on a 2-stopper, like Hakkinen up front, but it's also clear now that Ferrari, as James predicted, are on 1-stoppers, and so is his teammate Ralf. And he is now tucked up behind Ralf and Rubens and the back markers, just when he needs a bit of clear air to make that strategy of his work. So Montoya then a little bit wrong-footed by where he rejoined the racetrack after his stop.
And although Ralf Schumacher and Montoya get on all right in a sort of rather calm and distant way, Ralf Schumacher is not going to want at all to move over and let his teammate through, even if he's told to.
Well, he'll have to. I mean, if the team radio him, I mean, it's really compromising Montoya's position now vis-a-vis Michael Schumacher, who's obviously way out of this picture at this time because Michael hasn't stopped yet. And really, Williams should be releasing Montoya. But Ralf, as you said, is not going to be keen on that. He wants to race Barrichello anyway, and he wants to keep Montoya as behind him, try and spoil his afternoon.
What are the Michelin runners doing? Well, they are in 4th position with Ralf Schumacher. They're in 5th position with Montoya. And the next one is Pedro de la Rosa, who is in 11th place, 1 position ahead of his teammate Eddie Irvine. 17 cars left in the race out of the 21 who started. Tarso Marquez did not qualify and was not allowed to start, even though an appeal was made to the stewards. They said they didn't see any just reason why he should be allowed to take part in the race. Now there in the McLaren, behind the 2 Ferraris of Eddie Irvine and Pedro de la Rosa, is race leader Mika Hakkinen. He's up to the 12th position, the 2 Jaguars in front of him.
Yeah, the green, very, very green Jaguars are lying astern there in 11th and 12th place, just about to be pounced on by the McLaren, and one of them decides, Eddie Irvine decides that's not what he fancies, so he's gone in for his first and probably only stop of the afternoon. Hakkinen then 13 seconds ahead of Michael Schumacher.
Bit of a race in the pits, look. That's Jean Alesi, who is just ahead of Eddie Irvine on the track. They come in together. It's up to the mechanics now to move really fast. Eddie Irvine could ideally gain a place here if the Jaguar mechanics could do a really super stop and get him out. Has he done so? Yes, Eddie Irvine gets out ahead of Jean Alesi, and although others will have passed him, when they come in for their pit stops, it will mean that Eddie Irvine has improved his track position against the Prost, which led him when they came in. As Jacques Villeneuve comes into the pit lane from 8th position, Heinz-Harald Frentzen takes that position. Interesting position, as I was saying, between Ralf Schumacher and Barrichello. They're only separated by 1 point in the Drivers' Championship when this race started. And at the present moment, Barrichello on 4 points is 1 ahead of Ralf Schumacher. Now, if Ralf Schumacher could get past him, they would be even Steven at the end of this race. And Williams are obviously fighting to retain their 3rd position in the Constructors' Championship, lap 34. And there are Barrichello and the 2 Williams. Into the pits comes Pedro de la Rosa, and he was in 9th place, just 5 seconds ahead of Verstappen, who will have taken the position.
And look down a little bit further down the pit lane, the Williams mechanics are out for this man, Ralf Schumacher, who pits for the one and only time this afternoon from what was 4th place at the time. Montoya snuck past him, of course, as he was in the slower pit lane. What's going to be interesting to see is can Michael Schumacher pit a little bit later on and get back out in front of Montoya, because Ralf Schumacher really is fighting with Barrichello this afternoon, and the fuel hose taking 2 or 3 seconds to come out there, so that cost Ralf quite badly, and I think will probably keep him behind Barrichello.
Oh, yeah. Now, what is also going to be interesting is that Montoya has no longer got Ralf Schumacher between himself and Rubens Barrichello, and the Colombian is an extremely feisty fighter. I'm not suggesting that Ralf Schumacher isn't, but Montoya will be having a real go at Barrichello now. He's with the Ferrari.
And that is Heidfeld and Frentzen, so that is for position. Ralf coming out of the pits has cost him a little bit, and I believe that'll mean that Raikkonen is in front of him then. So I think Raikkonen has cleared Ralf Schumacher in this, and Frentzen having a go at the inside of fellow countryman Nick Heidfeld and doesn't make it stick.
No. Heidfeld just moves across, which he's perfectly entitled to do. He got a car's length ahead of the Jordan, and he moved across, took his racing line. Frentzen is having another go at him. He's got a clean line on the inside as they come out of club out to Abbey, and he dives through on the inside. That was a lovely move.
It was. Can he make it stick? No, he can't. He went in too deep, and just as you were turning and looking at me, Mario, I was thinking, has he got the grip when he gets there? Because that was desperately late. And often, when you sweep across the track like that, you get a momentum going in the car that hurts you when you get there, and that's exactly what happened to Frentzen. But quite clearly, he's got a much better car under traction than Nick Heidfeld. We think Ralf Schumacher has gone off the racetrack.
There he is.
He looks like, rather than gone off, looks like he's stopped actually in that position more than crashed, but we'll have to wait and see. And we think Ralf Schumacher with a technical problem then, and quite clearly out of the car, out of the race.
Frank Williams has said we really have got to do something about the reliability. When they finish well. Montoya's had 2 second places. Ralf Schumacher's had 2 wins. Now here we are with Jenson Button. What's it like, Martin?
He's in Bridge Corner. That's where, just to the right, there's where Ralf Schumacher's trying to find the clutch to enable the marshals to move his car out of the way. It's tucked up in a little pit lane entry for support racers, but no problems for Button at this stage. He is currently running 13th, as you can see, and just 3/4 of a second, and that's what 3/4 of a second looks like. That's how far a Formula 1 car travels every 3/4 of a second. The distance between him and the little dot on the horizon there, which is old hand Jean Alesi, heading down then towards Maggots and Beckett's. Let's see. Big lift there for Jenson. This car really not working for him. Look, even having to fight the car hard. And Hakkinen is in the pits. I can see Hakkinen pitting out of our window here. Looks like a scheduled stop. They're very much ready for him. So lap 39, that would be about right, James.
Yeah, Mika Hakkinen comes in, but the Ferrari boys are out ready for Michael Schumacher.
He's coming
in down the pit lane now as well. Of course, he's not really racing Mika Hakkinen, because Hakkinen has managed to work a big advantage over him, but he is racing one Pablo Montoya. They've both got one more stop to make. We're waiting to see what Montoya does, but at the moment, the tyres coming off Schumacher's car look great. They've behaved themselves really well, and Schumacher back out into the race. Where is he?
Well, I can tell you that Rubens Barrichello, with Montoya tucked up behind him, are about to pass Michael Schumacher. There you see it. Barrichello goes through, Montoya goes through, Schumacher rejoins the race. It's getting very interesting now, and Barrichello knows he's under pressure because he's just made his fastest lap of the race. Here is the situation. We're at 2/3 race distance at Silverstone for the British Grand Prix, and Mika Hakkinen with his stop and Michael Schumacher with his stop are getting very close. Rubens Barrichello and Montoya, you can see, on the track together. Then we've got the 2 Saubers, the most improved team of the year 2001, with their Ferrari engine. So, as Martin's already pointed out, there are 4 Ferrari-engined cars in the top 6. Heinz-Harald Frentzen is right behind Heidfeld, who is in 6th position, but 33 seconds ahead of Jos Verstappen in the Arrows, who is 8th. Jacques Villeneuve in a very disappointing 9th. Is he going to stay with BAR? Jaguar, the top Jaguar, is in 10th position, driven by Eddie Irvine.
this is good. Look, we're going to get a pit stop from a driver's eye view. You can see, you just choose the colour that you want to go into, and there's a box full of 22 men all dressed in the same colour. It's a good clue for you where you're going to stop. Well, you very rarely read that board. You're just looking for the lollipop to go up, and it's instinctive, the movement you're making inside the car. You're holding the steering wheel in the straight ahead position, your left foot gently on the brake, and you're steering at that lollipop. And when it goes up, you go. You can't see in your mirrors to check if anybody's coming, because your mirrors are full of mechanics. So here then, Montoya desperately struggling to get past Barrichello. They're on a different strategy, and it's wrecked Montoya's chances by losing all of these laps where he should be similar pace. And is that Montoya going in the pit lane?
Coming in. He seemed to pause and decide whether he was going to come in or not, suddenly jinked to the right. So it's Montoya in his 11th Grand Prix against Barrichello in his 140th Grand Prix. And this, of course, is going to do Montoya no good at all. The question is, can he get back on track before the two Saubers appear? Kimi Räikkönen in 5th position and Nick Heidfeld in 6th position. And the answer is most definitely yes, he can, because I'm looking back towards Woodcote now, and the Saubers are not yet in sight.
But Montoya then, remember, this is a very fast corner, Cox. I think Montoya will get away fast enough, but that was not a good stop, considering how little fuel. Should have been 7 or 8 seconds. Barrichello in the pit lane. Rubens Barrichello for what is a very late stop. 43 laps in to this 60-lap race. What can they do for him? What kind of service is he going to get this afternoon? All looks slick, doesn't it, so far? He's holding a nice steady revs. Up goes the lollipop. Drop the clutch. Make sure you spin the wheels, otherwise the engine will die. No problem at all then for Rubens as he cruises out and heads into the final sector of this Grand Prix.
And over the line there is the Williams in the background as Michael Schumacher in 2nd position, 22 seconds behind Häkkinen, exits the Vale, turns into the left-hander now, club corner.
You know, I think Barrichello will be ahead of Montoya, you know, because Montoya's stop was slow. Barrichello's looked pretty slick, and interesting to see, did Montoya get out there in front of Barrichello? It'll be very nip and tuck.
Now this is Fernando Alonso in the Minardi pulling off the track. What's the problem? Oh, look, there's the problem. Left front wheel. Off it goes on a little rollabout of its own, and it's packing a lot of momentum. It looks as though it's going quite slowly, but those things weigh a great deal. I once had Didier Pironi's wheel hit me in that situation, and I tell you, it hurts.
Yeah, and Marshall bravely recovering that wheel. I heard they were rebuilding the Reliant Robins again this week, I saw in the news, but shame for Alonso. I think he'd recently been in for a pit stop, actually, so whether that one didn't just quite hook up properly, but no danger to anybody there. And this then is a Villeneuve in place 8, closely followed. A lot of attention from Eddie Irvine. Eddie's had a bit of a lacklustre weekend, Murray. Villeneuve painfully slow through the complex there, and Irvine really catching him very quickly, but still can't pass him, of course, heading down the pit straight towards Copse. Eddie working quite hard in that Jaguar. Villeneuve then clearly with a better car in the high-speed stuff, hopelessly slow in the slow speed.
Well, what does it mean if Mika Häkkinen wins the British Grand Prix? And he's looking very likely to do so at the present moment with 13 laps to go. I don't think he ever lost his confidence, Mika. He's not that sort of a chap. He will have said to himself, I've had very, very bad luck in failing to finish 6 times. The dice have been loaded against me. Things will come good. They always do in the end, and they seem to be coming good for him. So, although he never lost his confidence, this will be a considerable boost to him. And it's proving that the McLaren is in great shape. That's a very important thing for the rest of the season from the point of view of racing activity on the tracks. Ferrari are looking very strong for the Constructors' Championship. I've said that before, I'll say it again, because the Ferrari team is already 52 points ahead of McLaren. And Michael Schumacher, if he finishes in 2nd place, is only going to yield 4 points in the Constructors' Championship to Ferrari, and that will reduce the gap to still a massive 48 points. Michael Schumacher driving round, he is lapping consistently, half a second slower than Mika Häkkinen, and therefore consistently dropping back. the gap is 26 seconds, but clearly Michael is not the least bit worried about it. He's had his one stop that he planned to have. Rubens Barrichello, that we just saw there, has had his one stop, which was what he was planning to have. Here is the Brazilian. It's going to be yet another third position for him. He's finished in third position 4 times already this year, and a couple of second places. He won, of course, the German Grand Prix at Hockenheim last year, starting 18th on the grid and in appalling weather conditions, carved his way through to the front. He'll be looking for another win in Hockenheim in the next race, 2 weeks' time. I don't think he's going to get it, because if Michael Schumacher is on the pace, that would be his 51st Grand Prix victory, which would take him up to the level of the most winning of all time, Alain Prost. We're now coming up to the end of the 55th lap out of 60 at the 2001 British Grand Prix at Silverstone, and things really do look set at the beginning, and you would expect any cars that have got a problem to have gone by now if it was going to take them out of the race. And that means that Mika Häkkinen looks like winning his first Grand Prix since the Hungarian Grand Prix last year, which was the 12th race of the year. He's going to come home victorious at Silverstone, and it will be a richly deserved victory for the very popular and likeable Finn. Here he is coming towards us now.
Well, Mika Häkkinen, of course, has never won the British Grand Prix. He has been robbed here before with an engine failure, but Häkkinen versus Michael Schumacher rings a few old bells from the 3 seasons previous to this. It's a while since we've really seen them head-to-head, but unfortunately it wasn't to be a true head-to-head this afternoon. Michael Schumacher electing for a cruisy afternoon. Can't say as I fully appreciate that. I'd much rather he got on with it and took the fight to Mika Häkkinen, but that's from a fan's point of view. Louise Goodman is down in the pits.
With Ralf Schumacher. Ralf, another retirement. I think that's your 6th of the season. What was the problem today?
We still have to figure out. There was a technical problem, rather gearbox or engine, I think, which stopped me going. And, you know, I just decided to stop. There was a strange noise going on, and I just stopped the engine.
Differing strategies for the Williams team. You went for the one stop. You're happy that was the way to go?
Well, I mean, as you saw, after the stop of my teammate, I was in front of him and going at a pace of Barrichello. And I think, yeah, it would have been the right strategy. I mean, Kimi, I think, was still due to do one stop. So I might have ended up on the podium today, maybe.
Thanks, Ralf.
There's Häkkinen then through Copse for the final time at racing speed this afternoon for the 2001 British Grand Prix. He was 33 seconds ahead when he crossed the start-finish line at the end of the previous lap. So Häkkinen then down Hanger Straight. The team tests here 20, 30 days a year at least, and he will know this place like the back of his hand. He knows every bump down that Hanger Straight. He knows every line through this Stowe corner. He knows exactly where to brake over the crest for Vale, and this will be like a cruisy outlap on the first early run of an average test day for him. He'll just be swanning along. He knows that feeling very well, but this time around it means 10 World Championship points, Murray.
Indeed it does. Mika Häkkinen back at the top for what is going to be his 19th Grand Prix victory, and a very welcome one it's going to be. He's going to feel an absolutely liberated man, knowing that this time everything has come together for him. Out of Brooklands for the last time, he's just got the double right-hander at Luffield, the tremendously quick turn 17, which is Woodcote Corner, 155 miles an hour, and for the first time Mika Häkkinen wins the British Grand Prix. He just cruises across the line and takes the checkered flag, luxuriating in every wheel turn.
Well, that's a hat-trick for McLaren then. Even if Coulthard couldn't pull it off this afternoon, Mika Häkkinen scores 3 consecutive British Grand Prix wins for McLaren Mercedes-Benz. Second place man then, Michael Schumacher. I'll have those 6 points. Thank you very much. That puts him, of course, then 37 points in the lead of the World Championship with a mere 60 available for the rest of the season.
Yeah, and because Rubens Barrichello is going to finish in third position, it will mean that McLaren and Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship have both scored 10 points at Silverstone, and the gap, therefore, between Ferrari in the lead and McLaren in second place will remain at a massive 52 points. James, news?
Yes, indeed, Murray. I'm down in the McLaren area. The tremendous celebration going on down here. Ron Dennis, as Murray would say, Mika Häkkinen, who never went away, is now very definitely back.
Absolutely. Great race for him. Copybook from beginning to end. Right strategy, well executed. Mixed emotions. I'm really disappointed for David, but it's not over. We took points away from Michael again today, and we have the speed. I think we can win obviously more races, but it was Mika's day, and the championship, as far as I'm concerned, for David is still very much open.
Absolutely. Do you draw any encouragement from the strange pace of Michael Schumacher today? He seemed to be off it, really, didn't he?
I think his pace just reflected a one-stop strategy, which was the wrong strategy, but possibly, as always, they'll have a reason for dampening the enthusiasm of our victory, but they'll struggle to do that.
Well done, Ron. Great day today.
Don't worry, Ron. You did a grand job. Congratulations to Ron Dennis, to Martin Whitmarsh, to Adrian Newey, to Neil Oakley, and all the other people at McLaren and Woking. Not forgetting Mario Ilian, the late and very much missed Paul Morgan, who had so much to do with the engine of the Brixwood concern. They've won the British Grand Prix, their home Grand Prix. Well done, Mika!
And you're back with us at Silverstone, where Mika Häkkinen, a 10-to-1 outsider, has won the British Grand Prix for the first time, followed home by Michael Schumacher, the German, cruising towards another world title. Rubens Barrichello is third. That's his best ever in Britain.
It's great to win it here, obviously, because McLaren is the British team. It's important and really great for the mechanics to get this result over here. So I'm sure there's a great atmosphere in the team at the moment, and everybody's very happy.
You didn't seem to be pushing as hard as normal today. Was there a reason for that?
Yeah, at some stage of the race we knew there was no chance to get Mika back. There was nobody to push us, so all we had to do is drive a safely race and get the 6 points on our account, and that's what we did to some degree. On the other side, the balance of the car didn't allow me to push because I was several times close to find myself on the wall or in the gravel bed, and I didn't really want to end up there.
The car never felt the way when we tested here, and we know there is a small problem, but we couldn't just solve the problem. And you know, at the end of the day, second and third, it's good for everything, I think.
You're about 40 points ahead now in the championship. Can you relax yet?
37, and I can't relax.
Confirmation then of the result of the British Grand Prix for you. Mika Häkkinen 10 out of 10, Michael Schumacher second, Barrichello third, Montoya fourth. He'd have wanted to have finished higher than that. And then the Saubers of Raikkonen and Heidfeld. And that means the gap between Michael Schumacher and David Coulthard is now 37 points. 60 still available for the winners in F1 2001. Rubens Barrichello back in front of Ralf Schumacher. Häkkinen straight in at 5, and Montoya scored 3 points today. Meantime, in the Constructors, Ferrari have a 52-point lead. Williams remain best of the rest behind the big two. Raikkonen and Heidfeld both scoring to keep Sauber in fourth. Tony Jardine, lots of people here will say the race was ruined from them when Coulthard was bashed at the start.
Well, I'm afraid it was. A whole mass of support here for Coulthard in his title bid, and it was already slender, and now it hangs by a thread, unfortunately. After this incident during the start, Schumacher gets away well. Häkkinen matched him. Incredible rocket of a start from 8th to 5th from Montoya. There's the squeeze. That was the touch there on the inside, as Trulli and Coulthard made contact. That was actually Panis going off with touch field up. And here is Coulthard emerging from the pit lane exit, where he'd spun onto the inside. Meanwhile, Schumacher's gone, Häkkinen's gone, Montoya up to third. Look at this. David Coulthard has no option but to go for it. He's got to go for that championship fight. And truly, of course, is going for glory with a great grid position with Jordan, and they touch, and that's a racing accident.
A racing accident, and no surprise when David Coulthard's race ended very prematurely.
Damaged suspension, unfortunately, Jim, there. He had radioed in, but the car went up. Very, very dangerous to carry on with cracked components. We saw earlier in the year, and there's Ron Dennis thinking, where's my man gone? We knew there was a problem. Earlier in the year, if you remember when Montoya tangled in practice with Villeneuve, and Villeneuve's car broke 3 laps later, I think Coulthard was very lucky that didn't go on the hanger straight at 190 miles per hour. It could have been a lot worse than that.
We saw Ron Dennis there. He was pretty critical about Ferrari's tactics. Would you agree with him?
Yeah, I think what he was saying was that they weren't really spoiling for a fight. You didn't come out and really, you know, take the gloves off to us. That's what it was about, but I think it was a conservative strategy because it was about preserving this evolutionary engine that they got in, see if it could go to the distance, tyres, etc. They were out for points.
You put 2 people in the top 3, though. That's a decent response, isn't it?
I think it's fabulous. You know, OK, McLaren have got the hat-trick of wins, but there they were flanked by the two Ferrari guys yet again.
Looking for exciting moments in the race. We saw a good battle between Heidfeld and Heinz-Harald Frentzen, didn't we?
2 boys from Mönchengladbach, and it's great because here's the young, you know, 26-year-old, and he's up against it, the 30-something. Let's be polite to Heinz-Harald Frentzen, who's had a bad season. But notably, these 2 guys, although they were dicing for 7th here, Jim, they've both had big accidents this year. And Frentzen missed Monte Carlo because he bashed his head in Monte Carlo, and he missed Canada, if you remember. And in Canada, Heidfeld had that big accident and bashed his head against the barrier as well. But they're both, it's nice to see them both back in action.
What are your feelings about Mika Häkkinen's victory? Because you've been reasonably critical about the Finn.
Well, you know, he should have won in Spain, and, you know, the gearbox and the clutch let him down at the end. I think he's had some very lacklustre performance. He's only prepared to fight if the car is in really good fettle. That's my view. Unlike Michael Schumacher, whatever the situation, the 32-year-old is still very, very hungry. The 32-year-old Finn here, look, he's happy as Larry. The moment it doesn't go right, he's down, he's glum, it's reflected in his driving performances. You need consistency.
Tony, thank you very much indeed. We shall return in a couple of weeks' time. We go to Hockenheim for the German Grand Prix with Michael Schumacher looking in great shape, qualifying 11:30 on the Saturday. Extensive pre-race build-up from just after midday on the Sunday. Highlights just before midnight, repeated ITV2 on the Monday at 7 o'clock. Right then, Mika Häkkinen wins the race, but no doubt here about the star of the British Grand Prix in 2001. That's Murray Walker. A very emotional weekend for him, saying his goodbyes to Silverstone. Good night to you all.
Thank you all very much. I've had 52 wonderful years. The best of them have been at the British Grand Prix, at Silverstone and at Aintree and at Brands Hatch. You can only do so much as an individual, but if you've got the love and respect of the people that you're talking to, it makes it a very easy job, and I've loved every second of it. Thank you very much.